Today we're taking a look at these NCAAF matches, which are happening on Friday, December 31st, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 500 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Washington State vs Central Michigan. Washington State ended their regular season campaign by taking down the Washington Huskies by a score of 40-13. Overall, the Cougars compiled 454 yards of total offense, compared to just 200 for the Huskies. Quarterback Jayden de Laura turned in an efficient performance with 245 yards, while completing 27 of his 32 pass attempts. In the Chippewas' last game, the team took down Eastern Michigan by a score of 31-10. In the contest, Central Michigan finished with 366 yards of total offense, compared to Eastern Michigan at just 226. Lou Nichols led the team with 192 yards on 44 carries and a touchdown. Central Michigan comes into this game as 7.5-point underdogs, which seems a bit too high in this spot. The Chippewas closed the college football regular season riding a 4-game winning streak, and they should be able to move the ball against the Cougars' defense here. Nichols 3 will be the player to watch for CMU in this game. If the Chippewas can get their ground game going against a lackluster Washington State run defense, this game could have some upset potential. Our first betting advice is to pick Central Michigan Chippewas +7. On defense, the Chippewas have surrendered 26.2 points and 394.6 yards of total offense per contest. Central Michigan has also been stout against the run, allowing only 127.2 rushing yards per game, good for 31st in the country. For the season, Richardson has completed 61.3% of his passes for 2,424 yards, with 23 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. The 5'10" freshman from Miami, Florida emerged as one of the best quarterbacks in the MAC this season. Despite strong numbers, Richardson has struggled with his decision-making in recent games, throwing 3 of his 5 interceptions in his last 2 contests. Richardson has been aided by explosive running back Lou Nichols 3, who has rushed for 1,710 yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground this season. Former defensive coordinator Jake Dickert will remain the team's head coach for the Sun Bowl. Dickert was elevated to interim head coach when the school fired Nick Rolovich for not complying with the state's vaccine mandate. Prior to bowl game season, Washington State announced that the school will bring Dickert back on a permanent basis after inking him to a 5-year deal. For the season, de Laura has completed 64.3% of his passes for 2,751 yards, with 23 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions. Orji leads the team with 880 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns, while Calvin Jackson Jr. enters as the Cougars' leading receiver with 955 yards and 7 receiving touchdowns. On defense, Washington State has surrendered 24.3 points and 379.1 yards of total offense per contest. However, the Cougars have struggled against the run, allowing 161.7 rushing yards per game, which ranks 81st in the nation. Our second betting advice is to pick under 57.5. Quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 500 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Cincinnati vs Alabama. Quarterback Desmond Ridder comes into the game with 3,190 yards passing and 30 touchdowns with just 8 interceptions. Ridder has also rushed the ball for 371 yards and 6 touchdowns. The most impressive number for Ridder may be his career record as Cincinnati's starting QB, 44-5. Ridder is not alone in the stellar Bearcat offense. Running back Jerome Ford, a transfer from Alabama, rushed for 1,242 yards and 19 touchdowns. Alec Pierce is the top Cincinnati WR with 50 catches and 8 touchdowns. Expect Cincinnati to utilize Ford against the Crimson Tide defense as the Bearcats try to establish the run in support of Ridder. On defense, the Bearcats are led by their 2 quarterbacks, Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant, both named All-Americans. Both corners have 3 interceptions on the season and Bryant has a team best 11 passes defensed. They will be charged with slowing down Young and the potent Alabama passing game. Alabama is also adept at running the ball, and the person most responsible for keeping the Bomber running game in check might be LB Joel DeBlanco. DeBlanco leads Cincinnati in total tackles with 106 and with 56 solo tackles. He had 2 sacks and an interception in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. He may also be responsible for spying Young and keep him from creating plays outside the pocket. I was on Alabama to cover as a 6.5-point underdog against Georgia in the SEC title game, so that result was not particularly surprising. However, it is crazy how much the public narrative has shifted because of one result. Most people were not high on the Crimson Tide entering that game, but now they have become the clear-cut favorite to win the title. I think there is a ton of value on Cincinnati, especially if you can grab the Bearcats at plus 14. They have one of the best secondaries in college football and are facing an Alabama offense that is without one of its star wide receivers. Cincinnati has the rushing attack to control the pace of this game. I would not be stunned if the Bearcats pulled off an outright upset. Perhaps more than in most years, this Alabama team goes mainly through its potent aerial attack. Heisman Trophy winning QB Bryce Young leads an offense that averaged 42.5 points per game. Young passed for 4,322 yards with 43 TDs and just 4 interceptions. He had 2 1,000-yard receivers this year, but will be without one of them, John Mechie III, for this game. Mechie's season-ending knee injury puts additional pressure on fellow 1,000-yard receiver Jamison Williams. The Crimson Tide have several receivers they can use in Mechie's absence. Expect possession receiver Slade Bolden to play a bigger role in this game, giving Young an outlet receiver should the Bearcats' excellent corners shut down his outside options. Our first betting advice is to pick Cincinnati plus 13. Saban and Alabama once again find themselves with a top seed in the college football playoff, despite entering championship week as underdogs to even make the field. The Crimson Tide dropped a regular season stunner against Texas A&M in early October, putting them squarely behind the 8 ball going forward. They were able to avoid what would have been the disastrous loss to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, escaping with a 24-22 win in 4 overtimes. Alabama went on to knock off top-ranked Georgia as a 6.5-point underdog in the SEC championship game earlier this month. The Crimson Tide now come into the CFP as favorites to win another title under Saban. Number 4 Cincinnati has been in the news since the end of last season, as the Bearcats put together a 9-0 regular season and came up just short against number 9 Georgia in the Peach Bowl. They once again went perfect in the regular season this year, but this time it was a complete 12-game slate. Cincinnati went on the road and knocked off a top 10 opponent in Notre Dame early in the season, which really created a push for the Bearcats to be the first Group of 5 school to make the college football playoff. They took care of business the rest of the way, including a 35-20 win over then number 21 Houston in the AAC title game. Our second betting advice is to pick under 58.